Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey, for those of you who don't know. Today's video is going to be all about books, which is very exciting because this is actually my first official book related video here on YouTube, and I hope to make more content like this. So let me know if you guys enjoy it. I am absolutely involved on BookTube, Book Talk. I'm obsessed. I thought it was time for my own video to make a debut. So grab yourself a little drinky drink. I'm basically done with mine. I've been running errands all morning. And let's get started. So I read both physical books and books on my Kindle, and I love the two. I don't think there's one that really feels better to me. I will say all the books that I read on my Kindle are all tracked through my Goodreads, so if you guys want to follow me on there, I will have that link in the description below, which you should add me. However, all of the books in general that I've read are all tracked on my Notion. I do not have a template for this, but if you guys are really interested, I would maybe go through the effort and make a template for you guys. The first book that I've read this year is All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. This was a physical book that I read, but I actually don't have it with me right now because me and my sister share books. So that one was her copy. She got the, I believe, like the signed special edition copy because she is a huge fan of Ashley Flowers. If you don't know who that is, she is one of the hosts on the Crime Junkies podcast. And so if you like true crime and all that stuff, definitely right up your alley. Definitely recommend checking her out. She's a great storyteller. I was really excited when she came out with this book. It's her debut novel. The story is about Margot, who is a journalist, and she basically goes back to her hometown to write a piece on a 5-year-old whose name is Natalie Clark, and unfortunately she went missing. She's writing the piece about that and then can't help but notice that there's a lot of similarities between Natalie's case and a little girl named January's case. Now, January was unfortunately murdered back when Margot was also a child. They were around the same age. She knew January personally, and because of the similarities of the two cases, she kind of spirals. So the whole book, you're kind of figuring out, are these cases connected? If so, who could it be? And you're just kind of basically guessing throughout the whole book. And I will say, it did get me. I did not guess who it would be at the end, which was a nice surprise. I will say the book could have been a little bit shorter. I feel like there was a little, almost too much, I don't want to say fluff, because what was happening in the book felt important. There was a lot of depth to this book, shockingly enough, you know, but I liked that there was depth. I always love when there's depth in a book, but I don't know why it just couldn't keep my attention in certain areas. And so that's why I ultimately ended up rating this a 3-star. I definitely recommend it to anybody who likes mystery books. I will say I was not amazed and blown away by this mystery book, but would I recommend it? Yes. The next book that I read this year is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and oh my god, I am in love with Abby Jimenez and everything that she writes. This book, though, has such a special place in my heart. This one and another one. But anyway. So Yours Truly basically deals with our main character, whose name is Brianna. She is a doctor at a hospital, and she has a lot going on in her life. She's going through a divorce, her brother has an autoimmune disease, and this all really plays into a part. I wish I could spoil it for you guys. Also, I forgot to mention, it's a romance novel, and there's a new doctor at the hospital, and she starts off by not liking him because she's like scared that he's going to be competition and for her to get a promotion. So she automatically doesn't like him because of that, and then also they have a little bit of an incident. She hates him after that. First off, it's dual POV, so you get all of his inner thoughts, which I love. I love hearing a man's inner thoughts. He very much deals with anxiety, and so him being the new guy was already like a lot for him. And then him being a new guy and also being hated by everybody was also a lot for him. As soon as she didn't like him, other people didn't like him. And so that was the whole thing. They end up liking each other later, pinky promise. But they end up fake dating. You kind of go through the story of like them fake dating and then her dealing with all these other things in her life, and then of course you also read about his life as well. And the book is just really cool. I loved it so much, and I gave it 5 stars because I was obsessed. Next up, we have In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife, and this is by Ashley Winstead. Now, this book was very much a, what was it, a mystery slash, I think it was just a mystery actually. It was very much giving kind of like, kind of Gossip Girl-ish, you know, it was like a friend group. They were kind of like the shit. The main character, I forgot her name already. Let me look it up. Jessica. Okay, Jessica, she's a little crazy. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I don't mean it in a good way either. Her inner thoughts were a little scary to be reading. So if you're into kind of a morally gray, very, very morally gray character who you're reading firsthand, you might like this book. She ends up basically joining a friend group, and eventually they have a college reunion where basically they all have to face this very horrible thing that happened to them while they were in college. And practically none of them have like ended up talking to each other with the exception of a few. And during this reunion, they're all forced to kind of face what happened a long time ago and also discover who did it. Which I won't give anything away. It's a mystery. You put all the pieces together. I was not expecting the ending. I'll just say that. I was not expecting the ending. However, the book itself, the whole plot was like so messed up that I just kept thinking like, what the fuck is happening? So I'm not gonna lie to you, this book felt a little short for me, but because I just don't think I could really get on board with kind of how fucked up it was. So I ended up rating this a 2.75 stars. Because, was the book bad? No. Would I recommend it to somebody? Maybe. Was a little too messed up for my taste? Yes. Okay, and then the next book that I'm going to be talking about is, what is it called? This one's a long title. Everything I Know About, and then, you know, scratched off says, Parties, Dates, Friends, Jobs, Life, Love. So Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. Alderton? Now, this is a memoir, which I actually didn't know going into this. I don't know how I didn't know. This is a pretty popular book. My new thing this year is that I'm just gonna go in blind. So, I went into this book blind. I didn't realize it was a memoir until I was like, this is very much a memoir. And I've heard that this book usually finds you when you need it the most. Now, I think technically it did find me at a really good point. I feel like, yes, I had a lot that I could resonate with in this book, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't my total cup of tea. I ended up giving this book also a 2.75 stars. Now, this could be a me problem, okay? Again, this book is literally about her experience with partying. It's her experience about going on dates, dating men, friendships, which the friendship part I think I love the most. I cherish friendships so much. And she also talks about jobs and how hard that is, and I definitely resonated with the job part because your girl's trying to find her big girl job right now, and it's not easy. So I'm sorry if you hate me for the rating. Moving on. Ooh, the next book is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Now I have this one as a physical copy. Here she is in all of her glory. I'm gonna cover up this because I forgot to take it off. Okay, I'm gonna read the back to you guys because it's actually not that long. It's kind of long. Whatever. We have a main character. Her name is Emma. She is cursed, supposedly. And so is this other guy that she ended up finding in a Reddit thread. He decided to post on Reddit about his own curse with dating. The curse that they share is that every time they date somebody, they break up, and that person then finds their future soulmate, who they end up marrying and falling in love with. So this happens every time they date somebody. She reaches out to Reddit guy and is like, hey, we have the same curse. And they decided to come up with this whole elaborate plan that they should date each other so that when they break up, the curse will be broken and then they will find their soulmate. But of course, this is a romance book and we both know that they fall in love with each other, okay? That's not even a spoiler, it's just common sense. There's so much depth to this book. There are so many topics, which I also should have said that you should look up trigger warnings for every single one of these books. The story was amazing, and I fell in love with both of them. Anyway, sorry, I'm just thinking about how like I can't wait for next summer when I forget about what this book is about and then I get to reread it. That's how you know I love a book. Oh, and I ended up rating that one a 5-star because it was incredible. The next book, this one is on my Kindle. This is The Summer of Broken Rules. This one is by K.L. Walther. And now, I'm not gonna lie to you, again, I went into this book blind. It basically has to do with our main character whose name I already forgot. And you know what, I'm not gonna look it up because, spoiler alert, I ended up DNFing this book. I'm sorry for those of you who love it. I was very excited because I really was like, I was on the summer book vibe and I was really excited to read this one, but I got 9% into it and it was hard to even get to the 9%. Like I just couldn't keep reading it. I didn't feel an emotional connection, which I feel like I should have because there was definitely depth to this book, I can already tell, but I couldn't get into it. I don't know what. Next book that we have is also in the Kindle, and it is another Abby Jimenez book, The Friend Zone. Now, for whatever reason, I decided to look up the reviews on this book, and I never look up the reviews on the books that I read. Everyone kind of hated this book. Spoiler alert, I ended up giving it a 4 stars. Let me fact check that really quick. 4 stars. Okay, so here were my, because I wrote down my thoughts, okay? I said love in capital letters. This is a romance. Fucking, are we surprised? No. So Kristen, she gave pick me, okay, a little bit in the beginning. It does go away though. She doesn't always give pick me throughout the entire book. Maybe, you know what, no, I don't think I can actually talk about the reviews in this book without like spoiling it, so I'm not going to. I forgot. Even the description, the first literal sentence says, Kristen Peterson doesn't do drama. Will fight to the death for her friends and has no room in her life for guys who just don't get her. It's giving pick me just like a little bit. However, she's kind of keeping a secret, essentially. She had just found out about this. She has a best friend and her best friend is getting married. Kristen is the maid of honor, and she ends up finding out that she's gonna be real close to the best man because they're gonna be planning a lot of, you know, the wedding activities. They have a meet cute, which is not so cute, but they have a meet cute. They end up, you know, meeting each other formally later, and they're like, oh my god, no way, like you're the best man, oh my god, no way, you're the maid of honor, blah blah blah. They have a little tiff. Of course, there's banter. Whenever you have a tiff, there's always banter, and it was good, I won't lie, it was really good. They both end up falling for each other. However, Miss Kristen has a boyfriend this whole time. Like, girl, what? There is no cheating in this book, let me clarify. Emotional cheating, you know, very debatable. You kind of see how that all unravels because here we have a little love triangle going on, you know, and there's also like a subplot that I don't want to give away, but it was a big part of the book, and in the end, the way that it unravels was also kind of controversial for some people. So definitely, I would say I would read the book just to kind of figure out like your opinions on it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I gave it 4 stars. That's pretty high praise. And then I'm just gonna show both of them at the same time because they're part of the same series. The last 2 books that I've read this year is the Powerless series. So obviously I read Powerless first and then Reckless next. I did not read the novella. I don't know if I ever will, I'm not gonna lie to you. And I got the special edition from Barnes because the cover is pink and the original one is purple. Nothing crazy, but I really wanted the pink one. This girl's thick, okay? And I ate up every single page in it. I ended up rating it a 4 stars. Now, for those of you who don't know what it's about, let me give you a quick little blurb. There's basically, oh my god, it's a romantasy. So there's fantasy and there's romance. The elites have possessed powers for decades, gifted to them by the plague. So a plague happened, and now bitches have powers. Those born ordinary are just that. Banished from the kingdom of, is it Ilya? Because I kept saying it Ilya, like Ilya. Is it Ilya? 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 I like Ilya better. Moving on. It's about our main character, Peyton, and our other main character, Kai. They're rivals. Pei is an ordinary. Now, basically that means that she has no powers and she's not special. However, she's a badass bitch. She's giving Katniss Everdeen. If you've ever watched The Hunger Games, you will like this. If you've ever watched Maze Runner, you will like this. If you've ever watched Divergent, you will like this. And Kai does have special powers. He is also the enforcer. He is one of the princes in this kingdom. His dad is obviously the king. As an enforcer, he's basically commanded to go out and assassinate whoever his father wants him to. Morally gray. And because he has powers, he thinks, well, not just him, but like anybody who has powers in this book, think that they're better than everybody else and that the people who don't have powers should die. That's essentially what this whole book is about. So they end up having trials. Nobody knows Pei does not have powers though, and she gets put into the trials, which is crazy. So you read about the trials and them as enemies to lovers. And then of course, the second book is basically just going off of what this book became. So the way this book, that first book ends is crazy. And you get taken, literally you start from that point of where this crazy ending happened and you get put right back into it. They end up like in a desert. There's a lot of travel in this book. And I will say I am not done with it yet. So I actually can't tell you what my rating is. I feel like in Reckless though, we're losing a little bit of the plot. I feel like it has a lot to do with the romance. So I feel like there's a lot more romance in this one than there is fantasy. So, you know, if you're just getting into fantasy, I heard that this is a really good series to get started in because this is technically my first fantasy, but it's kind of feeling how the same feeling I used to get from like The Hunger Games and all of those books. So, okay guys, my battery's dying. So before I don't get a chance to film the rest of this video, I love you guys. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you are ready for more in the future because I will be doing one again in December. I will see you guys in the next video. Leave down below if you've read any of these books, that or simply like the video, because I like when you guys like the video. It gives me a little sense of like, you know, like, okay, I'm doing something right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Kisses.